Okay, so we're going to demonstrate how to polish your brass easily. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I've chosen a horn, a nice tarnished horn. Sometimes you might have a brass accessory, even though you're not really into brass cars, but you might find a nice Ford script tire pump that you want to throw in the trunk of your car, and that looks pretty ugly, but that should clean up pretty easily. And just to make it really fun, we've dug out one of these brass lamps from our stash. Sometimes it's almost impossible to tell if this is brass, if it's steel, what exactly it's made of. So our test is just to take our trusty old magnet and we put it on the piece, and if the magnet doesn't stick, we know that it's brass. In this case, there's a slight pull because the guts of the lamp are actually steel, so you will get some pull, but this is actually in fact brass. Sometimes it's so black it could actually be painted. So just for fun, demonstration purposes, we're going to clean up this. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go in your kitchen, find equal parts of salt, vinegar, and flour. And you're just gonna dump them into a bowl. The salt and the vinegar are going to do the work for you. Flour is only for the purposes of making it into a paste. So we just dissolve that salt. The salt actually isn't intended to be an abrasive. It's just intended to create the process of loosening the tarnish. You don't want your paste really thick, but you also don't want it thin. If it's too thick, it gets hard to apply. If it's too thin, it just runs off and can't do its job. So I always start with a little less, and I can add more, I find. Keep this out of the kitchen. Your husband might eat it. That's about the consistency we want. Something you can work with, but it's not too thick. So then it's a simple process of just taking this paste and with your fingers apply it to your item to be cleaned. You might want to wash your item. I didn't wash this one before you start. So we'll just go and we'll just add this until we get the whole piece covered. I have a piece of plastic here that I should lay out to put this on. The towel is only for cushioning purposes. And I keep a little bowl of water handy because sometimes your fingers get real sticky and from working with this paste, and you just want to kind of clean it off. So for the purposes of this demonstration, we did this horn. He's ready. It took about 5 minutes to get the paste on this. So now we're going to just roll him up in some plastic, and for about an hour, that's about all it's going to take for the amount of tarnish that was on him. So we'll just leave him till he's cooked. Okay, so this has been sitting now for about 2 hours. We had to go out and come back. And so now we're ready to strip off the paste that we put on here. And you can see the tarnish coming off with the paste. And it's kind of pulls the copper component of the brass to the surface. Okay, so I've got all the goop off him. I'm going to take him into the house right now, and I'm going to wash him. So he's washed now. All the residue of flour paste is off of him. My next step is going to be to take some gel gloss. Gel gloss is used for cleaning fiberglass, marble, acrylic, according to this can. It's pretty cheap. You can find it for sure at Canadian Tire, probably in the grocery store even. And so it's going to be my next step. So just take a bit of gel gloss and I'll just rub it over him. It strips off some of the copper that was pulled up to the surface. Without going to the expense of commercial brass polishers. So I've spent about probably 5 minutes rubbing him down with the gel gloss. For some people, that patina might be just great, might be exactly what you're looking for. I'll carry on with him and take him over to the wheel and give him a real glossy shine. But he just looks pretty darn good just the way he is. So just for the sake of comparison, before I take this critter to the wheel, I'll show you one that has been wheeled compared to the one that I just did the basic cleanup on. There's quite a bit of difference in the amount of shine. And what you'll find is once we get him shone to this point, then we will apply a wax, a specialized wax paste to him to help to preserve that shine and keep him from tarnishing. So this is the body of an E&J sidelight. And pretty much have to figure out if that's actually brass or not, but it turns out it is. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put the paste on this particular item, but I'm going to leave this on all night because it's going to take that long to work. Now, I haven't cleaned it up. I haven't, it doesn't look too greasy, but I think if what you're trying to clean is fairly greasy or looks like it might be greasy, it should probably be degreased before you start. Okay, so it's about 8 o'clock at night and I've just applied the paste to these more challenging pieces. So I'll just leave these now till morning and we'll come out and see what's happened. And in addition to that, we found this nickel-plated cap. And So we're just going to see what happens if we put some of this stuff on nickel. So stay tuned. You'll find out in the morning. Okay, so it's been probably close more than 12 hours, probably closer to 18 hours since we put this on. You can see the copper has, wow, pulled up through there. And the tarnish is coming off. I didn't intend to let this go quite so long, but probably shouldn't hurt it any. Okay, so I'll take that and then wash it. And we'll see what happened with this. So we got, here's our lid. Oh, here you peeled off the, that's a good way to strip your nickel. Except it didn't strip at all. Stripped it a bit where it was probably loose to begin with. And then we'll do this one over. Okay, so I'll just take those in and wash them since they happen to be out. So taking it to the sink, I have a bit of warm water here, some Dawn dish soap. Dawn dish soap cures everything. Look at that tarnish just falling off. Wow, that's amazing. So far, I have spent a grand total of about 3 minutes cleaning this nasty piece of brass. Look what we have so far. To degrease it before we started. So take our gel gloss now and give this a wipe down. So taking this headlamp over to the wheel. I don't know what kind of polishing going on is there. But to attack the big part. So it's polishing up the front. This piece is slightly pivoted. And I'm not sure if that's years of oxidation or we just shouldn't have left the material on as long as we did. So what we can do, just to verify that, is to apply some to possibly this side, leave it on for 7 or 8 hours, take it off and see if we have the same level of pitting there, because for sure if it's going to pit, that's not a result you want. So I'm just going to put that little guy aside. So material was on this for the same length of time as it was on the light. So this is a stainless polish, you say? So here it tells me. So let's see how this comes out. And there's no pitting on that brass, so coming up pretty nicely. With a minimal amount of effort.
Cool.
So I spent about 3 minutes running this through the first level of polish. I've got a different wheel here. This is kind of a fluffy wheel. This one, and I'm going, this is a sewed wheel, so this wheel is more solid. This one is not quite as severe as this wheel. So I'm going to use the Jeweler's Rouge on that one, and that'll be my final polish on this piece, because I think that's going to be plenty good. In fact, for most people, this might be just fine. Always use a pair of cotton gloves when you're working on your wheel, and that's also nice for kind of rubbing the excess polishing compound as you work. So the other thing I'll tell you about polishing is you have to be really careful that this machine doesn't whip your item out of your hand. So always try to keep it going. How do you describe that, Harry? Keep it going down so it doesn't grab it and whip it away from you. So here's the tire pump. It's more or less finished. I could polish this up a little shinier if I really wanted, but I think for what it is, it's just fine. And I have spent a total of about 15 minutes on this altogether. 5 minutes to put the material on and wash it off, and 10 minutes on the wheel, 10 quick minutes on the wheel. It's a pretty easy thing to polish, being straight to, but there you go. That's that piece. So yesterday, as you recall, I did this. I think we left this on for about an hour, if I remember correctly, and then gave it a quick wipe down with the gel gloss, and this is what we came up with. And so we'll take this to the wheel and make it real pretty. Now this one on the wheel, you have to be really careful, because if you grind like this, you see, you want to grind like that. Yeah, polish like that, I should say. It's not grinding. Because if you polish like this wheel will catch that and whip that baby right out of your hands. So that is not nice when that happens. So let's see what the wheel will do to this. Notice I've got a good grip on 2 hands. So I'm taking this one over to the junior's room. So once I finished both sides of the wheel, both levels of polishing, I'm going to go in and wash it and wash all of that residue off. And then we'll take them in the light and see if that hurts your eyeballs. So here he is, the green-eyed monster. He's all cleaned up, ready to go on your car. He's just missing his Tudor bulb and the tire pump. It's looking pretty good. I wouldn't bother polishing that anymore. You could if you really wanted to get all those scratches out, but that would be kind of a lot like work. So I spent probably how long did I spend on him? 10 minutes polishing. Probably 10 minutes to put this stuff on him, maybe 15, because he was a little more complex. So maybe half an hour on this one, and probably 20 minutes on this one, and looking pretty darn good. So after I started working on this piece and discovered it was pitted, I put product on this side of the piece for 7 hours just to see if the pitting had anything to do with the length of time that the product was on the lamp. It turns out it didn't make any difference. I will say it worked just as well in 7 hours as it did in 18, but the pitting is still there. The pitting is obviously a function of the level of oxidation that was on the piece. That level of pitting will not come out with polishing alone. So what I did was I took sandpaper to it. You can see this side I've sanded it. I started with 220 grit, went up to 320, followed that with 600, and then I took it to the wheel, and I was able to eliminate quite a bit of the pitting and bring up quite a nice shine on the piece, an acceptable shine. You could actually use this piece on a car if it was to be polished that way. But there are some pieces that just need a bit more work than other pieces, obviously. So earlier I spoke of the way to preserve this newly acquired shine, and that's going to require another video next week where I'll explain how that's done.